So we create a visual in the mind of the reader, seeing themselves, oh, this is really worth paying a few $100 for, because what's more valuable than that half hour every single day where I can do this thing that I really want to do? You get it, right? Okay, so you probably already know this, that in order to sell your products and services, you need not just to describe the features, but also the benefits on your sales page. But sometimes, and even professional copywriters make this mistake, is we describe what the product does not do. For example, it does not cost you time, it does not require technical skills, instead of describing what it does do, like it saves you time, it's easy to use, stuff like that. And there's actually a study that shows that it's much harder for the brain to process what things don't do. So if you want to be really effective at selling with your copy, then you don't want to use these don't statements. You use do statements. And in this video, we'll go over some examples of how you can just tweak the words so that it'll become much more relevant for the reader and much easier to process. So let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, I will link to the study in the description below. Okay, so here's a little story first. When I was little, I went into the hair salon to get a haircut. I was probably about 8 at the time. And I told the hairdresser that I did not want bangs and I did not want it super short. And what did I end up with? Of course, bangs and super short hair. And I cried and I cried. And all I really wanted was a trim. And I couldn't understand it in my little child brain. Like, why did she do this to my hair? Because I told her that was not what I wanted, right? But that's the thing. When we say we don't want something, psychologically, subconsciously, we actually do consider that to be the thing. The brain does not really pick up on the word don't and not subconsciously. So what I should have done, of course, is to just tell the hairdresser what I did want, which was just a little trim, right? So how does this apply to sales copy? Well, it does apply in the sense that often I see sales copy where we have these don't statements in them. This is really bad because you are making your reader kind of have to do twists and turns in the brain to figure out what it actually does do for them. So instead, let's just avoid all that and give the reader what they want to hear, which is what the product or service does do for them. So let's get into some examples of how we can tweak the sentences, and you can take this as inspiration for your own sentences. Okay, first example, let's pretend we are selling a vacuum cleaner, and the sales copy could say, you don't have to spend 30 days vacuuming anymore. Okay, that is clearly a don't statement, but instead we could flip it to something positive. So what do we get by not having to spend that half hour vacuuming? Well, we do get a half hour extra time. And what could that half extra hour be used for? That is what we want to get out in our sales copy, right? So we could just say, get a half hour extra every day. And then we could add something valuable that the client wants. Like it could be time with the kids, time with the romantic partner, time for work, time for going for a walk, whatever we could spend that half an hour on. So we create a visual in the mind of the reader, seeing themselves, oh, this is really worth paying a few $100 for, because what's more valuable than that half hour every single day where I can do this thing that I really want to do? You get it, right? Okay, next example. Let's say we are a dating coach and the sales copy says, you don't have to feel awkward on first dates anymore. Okay, then we are reminded that we feel awkward and we don't want to feel awkward going on first dates. So instead, we should flip it to what we actually do want. So it could say, feel confident on first dates and get a second date. Okay, for the third example, let's say we are selling website design software for beginners, and it says you don't need technical skills to build a website with our website designer. Okay, well then we are thinking to ourselves, yeah, it's true, it is a hassle. I do need all these technical skills, which I may not be so good at. So, it creates sort of a negative feeling in the brain of the reader. So what we could say instead is, if you can drag and drop, you can create your own website. So this is clearly better, right? Because anyone can drag and drop. And so this is clearly something that the client wants, and we are not making them twist the negative thing into a benefit. We are laying it out there for them so it becomes much easier for them to process. If you're struggling with this, with these not statements, then just try and flip it around and see what benefit comes from it that is positive. If you want some tips on how to write amazing headlines for your sales copy, because headlines is the most important thing, is the first thing. If you don't have a good headline on your sales page, then they're not going to read the rest. So remember to put effort into a headline. And if you want some tips and examples on how to write good headlines, then watch this video. And otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.